Well, here we are on July the 22nd at 6:08. Get started for the annual Welfare Control and Education Board meeting. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, in front of you, you should have the agenda. Can I get after you look over it, I need a first and then a second. Anybody want to approve the agenda? Make a motion. Jim first.
I'll second.
Tanya second. The approval of the agenda has been confirmed. All right. Minutes from the previous meeting.
All right, just to note, I thought I sent that out to you guys. I'm not sure if I did or not, but the last 2 months, we did not have a quorum for May or June. So that there will be no minutes for those 2 months. So we can just put that on record.
Okay, so we'll pass on that. All right. Next thing is, can we do any public comments from the floor?
Molly, do you have any comments? Is Ann coming? Okay.
We can wait till she gets.
When she gets there, we can bypass that. And this agenda is the old, one of the old ones, so there's information. I took off about the fencing that we had on there months ago for the shelter. But, yeah. Okay, we'll just bypass.
Okay, we'll wait for that. And we'll wait for Ann to get here. How much longer do you think she is out? Do you think she'll be here next? So I know what subject to get on to next. I don't know, don't really
We
have
can
that.
do it, we can put it at the very end.
Yeah, we can do it at the very end too.
We will have some discussion and then she can stay. Okay.
Well, we'll just circle back to that one then. All right. Jim, I guess since you said you got something didn't need to be brought up.
A week ago, from today, Tuesday, 2 things. I've been talking to as many people in the public as possible and hearing everybody else and asking what is the main problem that the animal issues in, especially the cities and the county, but the main issue that everybody keeps talking about, but it keeps being put off to the side, is our feral cat problem. Okay, that is a big issue. It's also a big issue with the Humane Society. So I thought, the funding is, we've always had a minimum amount of funding for animal welfare and control, $5,000, and that has not been every year, but basically we've always had a minimum amount of funding, and that doesn't get for what we're going to need for the cat problem. So I thought about this and I said, well, I'm going to do something as an individual, as a citizen, but then I will be approaching the commissioners, the county council, and our board. So I also then started saying, how am I going to get, since we've got a problem with with funding, I thought we've got to come up with some type of funding that also involves businesses, individuals, or anybody that would like to fund, but we got to have a special fund. So I actually sent a letter to the Chamber of Commerce, which was read on Tuesday morning at their board meeting. And at the same time, I went to the commissioners meeting, and what I requested, I said, I'm saying this as a citizen, but I'm going to our board, and they knew that we were going to have our board meeting next week.
So you're not saying it as a citizen?
Well, yes, I would. I said, I have to tell you as a citizen. I'm approaching you as a citizen until the board approves of what I'm going to ask for. So I actually approached them as a citizen, but the reason I'm approaching you now was because I've already got letters to the Chamber of Commerce explaining the plight of the Humane Society and the amount of funds, the amount of funds that we have left in the Humane Society coffers, because that is a major problem. So what I proposed was that the county, through the commissioners, proposes a new restricted fund specifically for cats, and that the Animal Control Board controls that fund. And then whenever they look at hotspots, this has to be worked out through the board, but they look at the hotspots in the county and the city, probably mostly the city, and they basically use these funds for specific one purpose only, but that's a perpetual fund. So it doesn't disappear at the end of the year. So we've got funds through that. So the commissioners asked me, and it's recorded, to go back to the Animal Control Board and get permission from the Animal Control Board to request this fund be started, to set up this fund. And so that fund, if we.
Okay, can I stop you?
Sure, you can stop me anytime you want.
Because I mean, I see where you're going with this, but, okay, who's going to get the cats?
That,
Who's gonna get, wait a minute, who's gonna get the cats?
it's not going to be you.
Well,
Okay.
who's gonna do it?
I'll explain it to you.
Who's gonna transport?
Let me explain.
What vendor?
There's
you
no,
gonna
there's not gonna be
use?
no transport. I'll explain it to you. Give me time here, okay? Now go back, let me finish.
Continue then.
Okay. The problem is, everybody knows we got a cat problem. But when
That's
you,
not our only problem though, Jim, but.
that is our major, when you talk to the public, that is the main problem.
I don't know if it is. I'm gonna have to disagree with you there.
Well, you might disagree, but the public itself says that the main problem we got is the biggest problem we got is feral cats. So anyway, I'm asking the board to agree to go to the commissioners. They're waiting next week. I said I'd go to the board and set up this fund so that we can get money to control the cats. Part of that money can go to the shelter. Part
How
of
much
that,
money are you asking for?
that will be decided. I'm not asking money, I'm asking a fund. And that fund, now wait a minute,
There's gonna be money to go into that fund, which would have to be requested. You can't just, I want a restricted fund. So how much money are you talking?
you're not,
We're just talking about donations, I think,
You don't
from
understand that.
individuals or
Organizations.
So who's gonna collect the
Okay.
just in an account.
Okay.
the fund is collected by the county through the fund. But you gotta
I
have a,
have a problem with this.
The fund is
A
collected
huge
through the
problem.
fund.
Okay.
do you understand where I'm coming from on this? Not, well, apparently not. Okay,
I
let's,
think I do, but I have a problem with this if you're talking about donations. Because when you talk about donations for one problem in this county, then you're taking away from the shelter.
I'm not
Those
taking,
people will not donate to the shelter if they're donating to this fund.
wait a minute, hold on, before we go any further, you think they're not stopping donating to the Humane Society?
We've already seen a decrease in donations in the shelter.
I already know that.
So now you want to start another fund, so then the Humane Society's gonna take another hit and the shelter's gonna
No,
take another hit?
no, not at all.
But some people that don't even donate to the Humane Society or don't donate to the animal shelter, what he's saying, and Jim, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
That's fine.
just today, I was down, getting my lawnmower worked on, and the guy working, we were talking, he's using his own money to get stray cats and take them to, $30 a piece. He's not donating to the shelter or the Humane Society, either one.
And these cats,
But he would maybe donate to something like that to try to help that issue. I
that's
think is what he's going with.
exactly where I'm coming. What I'm saying is, for instance, in Troy, Lisa George has been using her own money to take care of cats. When the Animal Control Board, if we get this fund, the Animal Control Board controls that fund, and then they decide how that's going to be spent. It can be give to the shelter. It can be give to the Humane Society, but I don't want that give.
See, you're missing the point there, though. I mean, yes, I agree that we have a problem. I just don't know that that's the route that should be taken.
You tell me, can you tell me do you have a better plan? What's the better plan?
I don't have a better plan, but what I will say is that this feels like a middleman. Why would somebody donate to a fund And then now we have to divvy out the actual duties of getting the cats fixed. We're already struggling to get volunteers for the shelter.
I understand, but we're not talking about the shelter now. We're talking about the Animal Control Board.
Okay,
Okay,
who's
so
gonna
are
take
you
them?
guys,
Who's gonna
Well-
take them?
Will you slow, finish?
I'm just
with-
asking.
Okay,
It could possibly be residents of the county, like the Alley Cat deal, you know what I
want me
mean?
to slow down, but I'm asking these questions and you cannot ask.
I haven't had a chance to finish the whole thing.
Yeah, I think this is just a start of an
I've
idea.
got the gist of it, Jim. I've asked
I
questions.
don't think you do have the gist of it.
Okay.
Okay.
The gist of it is,
Could I interject into this?
Yeah.
You know, Jim talked to me, and I'm gonna be upfront, I went to Ann. My main concern about this is, we have an organization, the Humane Society, that already is set up to do this.
Yes.
And has done it for years. Are we gonna reinvent the wheel? Why do we want to do away with that part? If the Humane Society was coming to us and saying, we're not gonna do it anymore, that would be a different story. The other thing is, just like Molly said, if we set this up, and my understanding of the way, what was gonna go into this fund was donations from businesses and from the half pot from the Schweitzer Fest.
I'm asking for that, yes.
I wasn't aware till the other day that I was told that they gave money to the shelter last year out of that fund.
Yes.
So
He absolutely did.
Yes.
I
that's
don't want to work against either one of those organizations for this board. I see Jim's point about having that fund to use on a, like, special
It's a
roundup.
targeted issue, is what it sounds
I
like.
understand the targeted issue, I understand having a wanting funds for something as
We
specific.
didn't even get an animal control officer, guys.
Yeah, I know.
But you all wanted to set up
So
a
you-
restricted fund
you
for
wanna
spay and
ask
neuter?
So what happens when we get these funds, or we get a certain amount of funds, and then we don't have anybody willing to round up feral cats?
We're not rounding up, that's why I try to tell you, they're not rounding up the cats. The cats, there's gonna be a TNR program that after we, first of all, establish the fund, if we don't establish any money, there's $5,000, it's not gonna get it. It's supposed to be the Animal Control Board that's controlling this, not the shelter, not the Humane Society.
But you all are not controlling it now.
That's correct, and that's what
And
we,
you haven't been.
that's why we
So why
gotta
are you
change.
thinking that you're gonna set up a restricted fund, and now all of a sudden, you all are gonna control it?
Because that's what we're supposed to
Because
do.
no
That's what it says.
animal issue that I have dealt with in this county since I've opened, you all haven't participated in.
That's correct. That's why we need,
You're not
now we're
going out
gonna
to
know.
Buzzard Roost every day this week trying to get these 3 dogs to warm up to me so I can get them.
You're not.
That's an animal welfare issue.
Yes, that's correct. I have no problem with that. I'm just telling you that basically already, for the Humane Society and the shelter are the only 2 organizations that are doing anything to put money into neuter and spay. We need, the Humane Society needs help to defer some of that money through a special fund so that we can still exist.
The Humane Society needs to fundraise. The Humane Society needs to fundraise. So you all don't dissolve, just like I have to fundraise.
First of all,
And I also rely on donations, so yes, you're gonna get pushback from me on this.
well, you might, but I'm just asking a very simple question.
Again, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. It's already there. I don't want to compete against the animal shelter or the Humane Society. So,
We already have, the way that we have it set up works pretty well. So.
and I've been there a couple times and seen it myself. I
Well, no,
agree.
and I'm not just talking about the low-cost Mayfair clinic, because they, and I've been trying to explain to people that they simply let me know when they're coming to this county so that I can advertise it. They do not ask me what's a good day. They do not ask me to contact the 4-H fairgrounds, they do that themselves. Like I said, I simply get a text that says, hey, we're coming there on this date if you want to post on it on your Facebook page. And then they'll let me know 60 spots left, 40 spots left, or whatever. I do not have any control over them coming to this county. It is up to them, it's their organization. I don't
they would even come to, they would still come to this county even if you weren't offering, and they would still come to this county even if the Humane Society wasn't giving back a rebate, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's the bottom line.
Well, all I'm just trying to say is, we don't, the animal control does not have the proper funds to be animal control. We've been floundering for the last 3-4 years to try to do something. And of course, we went through trying to change the animal control ordinance to update that. But we're floundering, and we've got to have some kind of funds through the animal control, not the shelter, not the Humane Society. And that is very important to me, that the animal control operates.
I don't understand why the Humane Society is, why can't the Humane Society handle it? Because we've been handling it, we're very much.
We've got 5 members that are active. We don't have any members. We're losing all our members.
It doesn't matter, because
It does matter.
it doesn't matter, because I get calls, I get the invoices, I send them to Kathy, and once she's quitting, in which case I have no idea.
To be responsible for something.
That's all that's really necessary, so why can't we ask
Seems
for
like to me.
donations to go to our bank account?
I don't really think that's all that's necessary. I think things have to be reevaluated, and I think this animal control board needs funds to operate.
So you wanna so what I'm hearing is that you wanna turn the animal control board into the new Humane Society and have them take over all of the responsibilities of the
Absolutely
Humane
not.
Society.
Absolutely not.
So
I want
the
to take
Humane
pressure off.
Society is already giving $75 towards the spay and $65 towards the neuter. What?
And
so
you've got
you
18
wanna
months
set up a
left before we
restricted
dissolve.
fund to cover the entire cost of trap neuter release?
You keep forgetting, Ann, the Humane Society does way more than we do other things. Besides, also basically the food pantries, also other things that we help and have helped for 50 years. But we're going to dissolve if we don't do something about funding.
We're gonna dissolve if we don't stop giving out rebates for spay and neuter.
I didn't say that. I said we're going to dissolve if we keep operating the way we are. Our funds
How
are.
is it that we're operating, Jim? Because once again, you keep coming to me with problems and no solution.
I just gave you a solution.
The
The solution is
You
create
have
a fund.
nothing worked out as to, once you get the funds, where are you going to go from there? Because I still haven't heard what vet we're using. You said we don't have to round up cats. Yes, we do. That's what trap neuter release is. We round up cats. We take them, we get them.
That's exactly that's what the Animal Control Board is going to oversee, get it set up, but you've got to start somewhere.
I
And we
understand you gotta start somewhere. I understand that, and we have started.
So if you're gonna ask for donations, then you're gonna tell people we don't have anything, we don't know where we're going from here, but we know we need money.
I do know where we're going from here. If we got money, then we can get on top of it. And if you go out to the public, I'm talking about the public that I deal with, the people that call me, that don't call you, that don't call the sheriff's department.
I deal with the public every day.
I know you do.
You keep saying, I'm absolutely tired of hearing you say that, Jim, because
I deal with
we
the public
deal with animal welfare every single day, 40 hours.
I'm not saying you don't. I'm saying
You
I'm.
walk around into businesses and ask questions, yes. But yeah, we see this every single day, and we know how hard it is to get people to participate. You should know that because the Humane Society has, 5 active members, like you just said. So I just don't understand where you're going to get the manpower or
To run a TNR
to
program.
run a TNR program.
I don't know it yet either. That's what.
Okay,
that's-
thank you for admitting that.
I said at the beginning, look at the letter I just sent out. Basically, the idea is we are going to dissolve in 18 months, and we can't help anybody unless we change what we're doing. And one of the things is the county has to help with the cat problem. And the reason I'm saying this, number one, is I'm the Cannleton representative. And that's all I hear from them is we're going to do something with them, and they're afraid to say something. If they say anything about a problem that's going to have to be getting on top of, that's going to be bad things, then they don't want to hear about it because they're afraid the public's going to. I'm telling you right now, we need a fund.
Does the county donate to the animal shelter? Or to I know but does the county donate to the Humane Society?
No.
Do they give you any kind of check of
No.
any sort?
No.
So is that what you're saying? You want the county to come up,
What I'm saying is the county,
should be responsible for something?
the county and the individuals, the businesses, they all complain, but they don't want to put, they
Yeah,
don't want to know,
right.
there is nobody.
So those people, and this is what I have been telling these people, those people. This is my line of what I'm telling these people and those businesses. You need to start going to your county commissioner meetings. You need to start going to the Tell City council meetings. And you need to make your voice heard. Because if you don't make your voice heard as a citizen in this county, nothing is going to get done.
I've been saying that.
I'm not so sure anything's gonna get done anyway.
Saying this. I know you've been fighting this problem for years, Jim. I know the frustration. But you are not going to solve this problem by yourself, as I'm not gonna solve this problem, the animal
That's
shelter's not
exactly
gonna
right.
solve this problem, the board is not gonna solve this problem, the Humane Society.
You came
We
up with
all
this
have to
idea.
come together.
Yeah.
The people have got to go and start talking about the problem.
We've done that. We've filled this room up numerous times. And, I mean, it's been a while.
I know, it's been a while, but it has to be consistent.
It's-
You
forget that. That's the problem.
It's a hot
Then
spot.
Yeah, it's hot and cold.
tell the people, then you will have a problem. If you don't wanna come off the money for it yourself, then you're going to continue to have a problem. I don't know what else to tell them.
Well, the one thing I would say
Because
is, like I said, what I tell them is we actually need
It's
more
not the
money.
county's full responsibility
I
to
didn't
take
say it
care of
was.
this problem.
I didn't say it was county.
I'm saying that.
Uh,
I'm saying that. As a citizen, it is not the county's full responsibility to take care of this stray cat problem.
That's exactly the reason why I said in the letter, basically, that the city's businesses, individuals need to come forward, but we gotta create a way. I'll give you an example. You get a lady, and doesn't matter, a widow, or it doesn't matter, some lady that's feeding she's got a cat, but she's feeding 6 more stray cats. And she has hardly any money. So these cats keep reproducing because we don't get on top of the problem. So, but one of the problems, how to solve that is I ain't gonna say it's simple, but you go to these, when you find out where these individuals are, you go to them and say, look, we can help you with the TNR program if you'll help us.
Yeah.
And then we basically help spay and neuter through the TNR program, and that stays at that property. It stays right at that property. The only time we have it, and I agree with you, there's a problem.
I understand that. You don't need to explain all that. I understand that because that's what we do now.
I know, but you don't have the wherewithal to be able to do it. You got your hands full taking care of the shelter at the shelter.
Absolutely we do,
Yeah.
but that's what we also do now in the community that probably no one knows about because it is needed.
I know.
Because we have 76-year-old ladies feeding 25 cats.
And that's a lot on you guys too. That's not even part of your responsibility.
I love the idea.
Absolutely it is. And then I take in these
I
babies.
just want to hear, I
and
want to
they're
hear
all inbred sick.
out of somebody's
Yeah.
mouth, I will run the TNR program. I will
agree.
drive the cats to this vet or this.
I agree with that.
I want to hear, this is how much money we're going to be spending per cat.
Mhm.
I want to hear how much money we need in this fund. I want to hear exactly who is signing
Well,
up to track the cats.
and this is the first I've heard of any of this.
In the
You know,
community,
but-
they're gonna want all of that.
And
You go requesting money, they're gonna want all of that.
Well, and that's my point. I don't feel comfortable asking for this fund to be allotted, that we don't have a game plan.
I'm sorry, let me interject real fast before I lose this thought. If we had somebody that was willing to run a TNR program and say, I have the tracks, I have the vehicle, I have the place that we're going to be, it's gonna cost X amount of money, then why wouldn't the Humane Society just say, hey, we have somebody that's willing to do this, I need to raise this amount of money, we will get this amount of packs fixed, we will re-release them, who wants to donate towards this fund? In which case, we don't need to reinvent the wheel, we already have the bank account set up, we already have the nonprofit status. All we need is the manpower, which is what we're struggling with all around, and
Because
somebody
what I'm
to,
trying to say is then you become animal control, and that's what this board is for, not for.
I'm asking for volunteers.
I know what you're asking for. What I'm trying to say is the animal control board should have got on top of this years ago. I agree with that. I agree with that. It hasn't. And we gotta start somewhere. And we need a fund. That's the first thing you need before, the first thing to go say, how's it gonna be paid for? That's the first question. How's it gonna be paid for? Then, if you know you got a fund that people are actually putting into, part of that fund, as I said before, can go to the shelter, and that would supplement what you may think you're losing. I don't think you're gonna lose. When we get the public involved, we're gonna get more backup, and the shelter's gonna get money.
Especially, I think, if they think that we're actually doing something to address the stray cats. No one even sees what you guys are doing to address the stray cats. I know what you're doing.
Okay, I've got to interject this. I am not a big fan of TNR. Because are we going to this location and talk to the people that have all these cats and say, hey, we're gonna have them fixed, but we're gonna bring them back?
Yes,
Most of those people do not want them back.
that's not true.
No, Jim, everybody I talked to said that, because even though
Only TNR.
you get them
You
fixed,
TNR a healthy cat, and most of these
Yeah.
cats around here.
right, and that's what I'm saying, in this plan, it has to be a judgment of a vet to say, yes, this one can be fixed, this one can't. Then what do we do with the one that can't? I know the answer, but nobody wants to hear it. The public.
Euthanize it.
Right, humanely euthanized, but when you bring that term up, people just go ape. But also, people also go ape when you say, well, we're gonna trap them and bring them back. No, I don't want them. You know, Jim, you made the point about this elderly lady spending all of her money on food. They bring the cats back, she's still spending the money to feed them.
So you can tell them, you'll either take these 3 back, or you can take 24 back here in 6 months whenever they have kittens.
Hey, I
Okay.
printed that off. One kid can have 15 years.
I'd just like to make a
Exactly.
motion to the board.
I mean, we gotta.
I make a motion that
Oh, yeah.
allows me to go to the commissioners on a week from today, the next commissioners meeting, on the next commissioners
I'm
meeting,
down for anything to try to help.
whenever that is, and ask for
I
a
want that.
special restricted fund to be created for the control, under the auspice of the Animal Control Board, to help control and neuter and spay cats. That's, I'd like to make a motion on that. Can I get a second?
I'll second that motion.
I'm in favor of it.
I'm against it.
I think our biggest issue, Jim, really, like Troy's brought this up many and numerous times. I think our main issue right now is that animal control officer.
I agree with that too.
Anything else before that,
Yeah.
in my opinion, should get to the back burner. But
Yeah.
right now, let's put somebody out there so they're not having to go out there on their own all the freaking time
I know that.
and do this.
Agree with that. I've been saying it for 15
They need
years.
to.
I just put a
Went out
motion
there
on.
Sunday.
I just
at,
put a
See,
1:30.
they're doing all this when we should be having somebody from the county.
And that's
Should
not
be
in their
paid.
contract.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think to me, that's our biggest issue
I
right
do
now.
too, I agree. 100%.
I think you got a great idea, Jim.
Yeah,
I really
I
do.
do. And
let's
I
get
get that.
Let's put our ducks in a row and get this.
Well,
Give our next thing.
You've got to set up a budget for next year, so the earliest you're gonna get an animal control officer is next year. We need to do something now, NOW.
Well, here's an idea, Jim. We've all talked about the alley cats.
The county's not gonna give you any money this year. I mean, you say you gotta do it now.
You can track
I-
10
They're
cats
not
and
saying
take them to
you
Louisville.
I didn't-
gotta put a budget.
Well,
The
first of all,
budget has been sent to the commissioners.
That's for next year.
Yes.
That's for next year. I'm talking about a special that could be put in for individuals now.
I don't want to form a fund that we don't have a plan for. That's my main concern.
Well, I
Jim.
think basically you've got to set up something.
No,
So
Not at this time.
I'm just making a motion. We have a second. If you don't want to do that, that's fine.
I say no.
If it's gonna have any kind of negative effect on the animal control officer, I definitely think we need that first.
That is our first That's our next best, that's the next thing we need for sure.
I'm by far not knocking this idea. I think it's a great idea.
We can plan.
Yeah, but I think that until we get an animal control officer to take some of the crap off of them,
Yeah,
and
load off of them.
to see that the county's even gonna make any effort to do anything, I feel like we're spinning our wheels.
If somebody can approach me saying that they have the manpower they have the supplies, they have the transportation, they have the facility that they're going to transport X amount of cats to, I'm happy to make a post and to advocate for funds and say and write a big long paragraph about this is exactly what it's for. All of you guys are complaining. If you're complaining, please donate, and we can see if we can come up with that money. And that would be a nice little test run to see if this will work. But like I said, the thing is that there's too many things that we don't know how it's going to work. You're asking people to donate to this fund, and I understand it's for a good cause. You just happen the planning stages are not over yet with that.
Absolutely, they're planning. That's what the Animal Control Board would do once they said, okay, that I can go to the commissioners and then through the county council and say, look, if we pass a fund restricted for that specific person, then that fund can start be collecting now because you've got to have the money and we're going to be behind
Who's
the eight
going
ball.
to collect these donations?
The county's going to, because it's a fund, it goes to that.
It
special
would
fund.
be sent into the auditor's
Yeah.
office. There would be a special fund. They did the same thing when they raised money for the sheriff's department K-9 unit. So
Okay.
basically, it's a donation line item.
Okay, who's gonna advertise that this fund is now a thing and we need money put into it? Jim, you don't use the internet. We can put it in the paper. But if everybody up there is gonna look at me and say, I'm gonna use my social media, my word of mouth and.
I already started advertising. There's a letter there's the letter that went to the Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce is already working on the spending
Oh,
money.
well, that's crazy, I didn't know anything about that.
I just told you this at the beginning of this. I sent a letter to the Chamber of Commerce the same day on Tuesday.
And you told me at the beginning of this meeting right now?
Yes, I
Oh,
sat there and
okay,
said,
you did, okay.
yes, I sent a letter to the Chamber of Commerce.
She wasn't here.
No, at the beginning,
okay.
you weren't here.
So,
I sent a letter to the Chamber of Commerce to Sarah Zuli and said, I approached her 2 weeks before that and said, look, I'm trying to figure out a way to raise funds, not just for that, but also to help the shelter, because I explained to her that part of these funds can go to the shelter, specifically for,
We have never I don't know if you have, but I've never spoken with anybody from the Perry County.
they just had the meeting. The directors just met on this last week, Tuesday, that letter went to the
Did you
director.
hear back from them?
Well, yeah, right now, I'm waiting. You just had the directors had the meeting, and then they're going out to the businesses. And that business when the businesses start saying, okay, here's the problem. They have to have a legitimate fund. You can't just walk up and say, oh yeah, you gotta create the
No,
fund.
I
And that's-
think the important that you gauge how interested they are in.
You won't know. You gotta start with a fund because I did this many, many years. If you don't have a fund, the people are gonna say, okay, who's getting this money?
We have the Humane Society Bank account, you could have said, this is in the works, the same way you're saying to everybody else that this fund is in the works, this is in the works, we're gonna figure it out. Please donate this money to the Humane Society so that
No.
you can help us figure it out.
The Humane Society could operate the way, I don't want any funds that go from that fund to the Humane Society. I want the Humane Society to be totally independent of that, but if something happened, funds, according to the Animal Control Board, could decide how they want those and where those
I
should
don't
be
know, why
directed.
why do you want it to be separate? I don't understand.
Because-
You could send these
because
letters and
it's-
ask for donations.
Because you want that public. It's public should have that knowledge of knowing where it's going, what fund it's going to, and
The public can come to our meetings every second Tuesday of the month. We print out copies of our financial reports every single thing we spend
Absolutely.
$1 on. So what's
Absolutely.
the difference?
because what I'm talking about, the general public doesn't know what the hell's going on. If you go out there and ask these questions, they don't know who's what, where, what, why. I'm just trying to tell you that you got to start somewhere, And I just decided, hey, I've got to do it as a individual. I started as individual, but I wanted to go to the board and get the okay of the board to create this fund. I think this fund, and you were talking about the animal control officer, we're not going to have an animal control officer because of the, I don't know, Charlie, I know Charlie knows.
So you think it's totally impossible for us to end up with an animal control officer, but you think it is totally possible for us to have a restricted fund specifically set up?
Absolutely, it's possible. All I have to do is the commissioners have to agree, and then you start. You've got a fund. You absolutely agree.
Here's it, you already have a nonprofit organization. So.
That's floundering.
You're using words now that seemingly don't, we already have a nonprofit humane society that should be able to regulate, the volunteers should have the knowledge of where to take this path.
They can't.
Okay, so you think that you can now?
I think the county and the cities and the public can, once they get knowledge.
They can still do that if the money goes to the humane
They
society.
don't know that.
So now you think that you're gonna make them know that if there's a restricted fund through the county for spay and neuter.
I already just told you, I can do this through.
And you could have done that letter for the humane society, instead you went rogue, you tried to do this all
And
by yourself.
It's your responsibility to do that, not mine. You're the president. You're supposed to, in January, send these letters and send letters to the people, and you haven't done that.
Okay, we're
You are
getting
5 active members.
No, the
Who am I
no.
sending letters to? 'Cause nobody comes to our meetings.
I'll give you the few list. What I'm saying is,
Right.
This is an animal board meeting, not a humane.
Could we
Yeah,
revisit
yeah,
this maybe
gentlemen.
next month?
I'm fine with it. I'm not saying, but
do you want to?
I don't think it should be a dead issue. I think that we
I
should
think it's
revisit
a
it.
good idea to have a fund for the animal board,
Yeah.
gives the animal board power.
Honestly, I'm not
That's
afraid of
separate.
it, I'm not afraid of it.
I also have,
I wanna know if you guys
Questioning.
think what I'm saying is making sense.
Do you want to table this
understand
for
what you're
next
saying.
month?
Why are we starting a new fund when we have an entire organization set up?
Well,
To
I-
separate the two.
like I
so
said, I
the
think
animal
that,
board has power. If
yeah, and I
And
think,
if you guys can come to the Humane Society meetings, second Tuesday of every month, the third.
well, and again, my problem is we're trying to reinvent the wheel. It's already there. You
But it's
know,
not working.
yeah,
well, is this gonna work? We don't have a
It's
game
a
plan
first
of
step.
anything, and I guarantee you, the way society is right now, everybody frowns on giving money to the county because they feel like they misuse it. So why are we going to have a situation where we've got this money and everybody's gonna be looking over us and we're not doing
When we
anything
have
with
an
it because
entire
we don't have a
organization
game
set
plan?
up
I
specifically
mean,
to help animals.
I know that you're new.
Mhm.
So
But I've been involved
How long
in,
y'all been doing the ordinance?
yeah, almost.
Tell me about it.
Years.
I got some good news on that one though.
2 years.
Tell me about
So
it.
we're gonna do.
That, Molly, it came to a point where I finally said, we're either going to get it passed or I'm done with it, because I felt like a ping pong ball
Yeah.
going from the commissioners to Tell City to
I don't
Troy to
understand
Hamilton.
what their
Yeah.
problem is.
Well, I know exactly what the end of these problems were. This was a county ordinance. The county needed to adopt it first.
Yeah.
And then let them pick up on it.
And you're gonna
Then
give
I'll
me
ask,
all of-
do you want to table this for next month so we can get?
I
information?
would like
That's
to.
fine.
Make a motion.
Yes,
And
I'd say.
Jim, what I would like for you to do is to table this, if you could come up with a plan
Yeah.
on what, how the money's gonna be used and everything.
Because they're gonna wanna see it broken down.
How are they going to apply for it? Is it gonna be a form that comes to this board to
That's
look over?
what the board is supposed to do, though.
Well,
The board is supposed to
Give us some suggestions how you think it should be run, because this is your idea,
Okay,
okay?
I have no problem with,
All right.
and I mean, and I agree with you, Mike, the table is something that comes up on you too fast. Adam didn't have a chance to, and Tanya didn't have a chance to.
And like I said, I knew about it, and I played devil's advocate back and forth. I see good, but I see bad. Like I said, I don't
I
want.
definitely want to take away from our organization.
Right, that was
And
one of
that's
my
what I'm
big.
afraid it's gonna
I don't think
happen.
it's gonna take away,
Well,
if we can.
I don't
if
either,
Can't
because
go towards the organization. how's
I
it
think
taken
some
away
people
from
see the stray cat problem, but they don't see all the other things that goes on,
They see the problems, they're not seeing the good.
Exactly.
One of our, instance, we have a big problem with people here in our county that have pets, that love their pets, that don't wanna get rid of their pets, they can't afford them.
Oh, yeah.
They can't afford the food. And I know that the food pantries, but that's a gallon bag, so that's not gonna go far. There's people in our community that rely now on the shelter that helps with food.
Yeah.
To feed their animals.
I think that's,
Also,
Yeah.
so if they can't afford food, guess what? They also can't afford vet care.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So we help with that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I get that we've got an overpopulation problem, but we also have a problem in this community with some of our residents are struggling financially. And they need help. And that's a big problem too. And I fear that if the shelter goes away,
Oh, it's gonna be,
it's gonna really hurt because those people aren't gonna have anywhere to go. So we see this every day.
I know you do. And
So
I know your
we
distress that
there's
you go
other
through.
need, there's other big problems too in our county, animal related, and they also involve humans. And when it involves humans, it pulls at my heartstrings more. And I feel that also kind of needs to go to the top of the list to help and to take care of.
So, Tanya, you're gonna make a
So
motion?
that's just
to
my
vote
2
to-
cents.
table it.
Table it?
Yes, I make a motion.
I'll second that.
okay. Jim's, or his, letter to the Chamber of Commerce, we're gonna go ahead and table that till next month.
Yeah.
So we can stew on everybody else right now.
Yeah. It's a good word, Stu.
Yeah. All right.
Molly, do you have any, jumping the subject, but shelter,
Shelter news, I mean, the past 2 weeks have absolutely, that's why I say we got problems. It's been absolutely insane. We've seen a lot of dumps. We've received, 3 puppies, in the past month that were dumped. I've got 3 dogs out at Buzzard's Campground that was dumped. I've been out there all week trying to get them to warm up to me. Luckily, I've got some campers out there and they're feeding and watering them for me. And they're giving them treats, so they're getting them. And hopefully I'll get them. I had another dog in Perry County, that has been complained on. There's a dog in Tell City.
It's all animal control stuff that you're dealing with.
It's absolutely animal control.
We did get a puppy adopted today, thank goodness, so now we have 1 free group.
Yeah, the one that just jumped on Troy.
Oh, yeah.
Got adopted, so. I feel like we're going into an epidemic of people.
What's
just
crazy
getting
is
rid of
July
their
has
dogs.
actually been a good month for adoptions. I mean, we have probably 10 adoptions up on the board, and that should be
That's good.
right, but
It's not,
Well, one day it could
immediately,
get 7.
yeah, yeah.
right,
Immediately filled back up, yeah.
immediately feel like, it's to the point where we get rid of one, and it's like, oh, good, our overflow is now taken care of. But
It's horrible.
So I wish we as a community could just do better for our animals. And we're here if you need help, but dumping out in the county,
No.
in remote areas is,
or even bring them and dropping them in your fence.
Yeah.
for that, that dog did get put down. That dog, it bit a child. Yeah, and it was
Somebody's
quarantined at our facility for 10 days.
No, it's my bunch.
And then afterwards, did I want to euthanize the dog? No, because the dog was
It was a smart dog, had good manners and knew tricks, but then after a few days after his quarantine was over, started growling at us.
Yeah,
So.
and have choice.
I couldn't adopt the dog out knowing that it had been a child, so.
We put the child in the hospital.
Did the child end up in the hospital? I never did get any follow back on it. I think some of you got the email regarding that animal.
Yeah,
That it was dumped and the owner said he had given it away to somebody else, but he was the one that actually dumped it.
at the shelter, dude.
Cannleton, yeah.
Yeah.
And Cannleton PD has a case on it. They took it to the prosecutor. I haven't heard any more on that.
That's something I would like to figure out a way, if we could get like follow-ups. You know what I mean? If they ever, like, for instance, that if there's a case, how do we get follow-ups on that?
Normally.
Can you request it from the prosecutor? I mean, is it
You
public
ask the
knowledge?
police department and, to see what the holdup is. It could be the prosecutor thinks there's not a case there.
Right,
Prosecutor's not gonna file it, and it's up to them. They have the right to file a case or not file a case, so.
well, and like, the one, I think I messaged you, I don't know if everybody, the dog getting drugged.
Right. I do have an update on that one. Okay, I did follow up on that.
Cause I called about the CAD.
Okay, what happened was, it started out over here at the softball field. It was an umpire
On 19th?
on 19th Street. He was here, and I talked to, because I know most of the officials, I talked to somebody that knew him. He takes this dog with him everywhere he goes.
Okay.
Well, when he was doing a ball game, he tied it to the bumper and
Forgot.
forgot about it
Oh my God.
and pulled out. Now, he stopped right out on 19th Street.
Oh, okay, so
So
that's
he didn't
12.
drag it down 12th Street. That was the concern. And he was concerned enough that he asked the Tulsa City Police Department for an emergency vet
Okay,
number.
good.
So, but I.
See, that's what I was wondering, because I didn't know the whole
Yeah,
story.
when you started in on that, I'm thinking.
I was like, how do we know if he even went to the vet?
But the very next day, I talked to Derek
Good.
Allen, they pulled the CAD, talked to the officers, so.
Oh, thank
as far as I
God,
know,
thank you.
if it was his personal dog, and he took it to the vet,
Great,
okay?
that's awesome.
Can we talk about the ordinance now?
Yes, let's go ahead and jump to the ordinance now.
The first of this month, I met with the commissioners. And basically, like I said, we've been dealing with this ordinance for over 2 years. And it's time to do something. And the entities, Tulsa City, Camden, and Troy, were not willing to do anything until the county stepped up to adopt it. So we got a okay from the commissioners, and last week's paper, Jim, thank you for that message.
Yeah.
I did go get one. The new county ordinance is on 2 pages in the back of the paper. Our auditor's not real happy with me because it was 24 pages long that they had to post in the paper, so it's gonna be a little expensive. But since then, I've spoken with Cannleton, I've spoken with Tell City, and Jim and I were at the Troy meeting. As soon as I get the copy back, the only change that we've made recently in that ordinance was the ordinance always spoke about animal control officer. We don't have one. So now it states animal control officer or any law enforcement officer. All right, so that, and it doesn't, we didn't put animal shelter workers, okay? But, so,
Just put
as soon as Chris gets back from conference, I'm going to get a copy of that. I'm going to send it to the clerks of the 3 entities and their attorneys so they can start working on there. The first meeting in August, which is the 4th, Jim, is that correct? Something like that?
Are you talking about, yes?
The commissioners.
Yes. it is.
Okay, I'm going to be there again, and hopefully they'll vote on it and adopt it, okay? When I was at the commissioners, I showed them, and I think I've brought this up several times, my triangle theory. The triangle is made up of 3 sides. The base of it is the shelter. And I tell everybody that I talked to said, without the base, we're nothing. I want you all to know that, okay?
I'll have some.
This side is the ordinance and the other side is the animal control officer. Since we're speaking of the animal control officer, I submitted 2 letters to the commissioners, one for our normal budget of $5,000 for this board for education and welfare. And then I also submitted a second letter along with Robert's plan that did a great job summarizing an animal control officer. And I sent that to them, so they had that, because last year I shot them a letter right towards the end, and the council said, well, you haven't shown us a plan. So we've given them a plan now. So we're inching along on that. I know very well how tight the money's gonna be. I'm not gonna hold my breath on it, but I'm hoping that maybe something will come through, because they've made comments in the past that they knew the animal control officer was gonna be brought up and be a top subject, so maybe they'll look into that.
I want to add also that I talked to Kelly yesterday about the new ordinance states that the county council picks another person, which would give us the
Right.
odd number. And I told her, I said, as soon as that thing is signed, you guys need to get that
Posted.
advertised so we can get that.
Right, get to the full board, because Adam will be the representative from Troy. He was gonna try to be here today. He knew he could, vote, but he was gonna be here.
Is that the
but
guy that had been
From
coming to
Troy,
the meetings
yeah.
a couple months ago?
He had an IDOT meeting, so. Since we haven't had any meetings for a couple months, there were a couple things that came up that I want to bring up. We were talking about the shelter euthanizing some dogs that had bitten. And there was a fee of $207.58 from several months ago. And I'd like to make a motion that the board reimburses the shelter for this euthanization. I've spoken to the health department. They do not have any money. We need to come up with a game plan there. Who's going to be responsible? I talked to Molly about maybe setting up a rate if they hold the animal, how much they're going to charge, because they're using their manpower, their food and everything to hold it. If they have to take it to have it put down, somebody needs to pay for it. So the two things, this is the first request that we reimburse the shelter, the $207.58.
I had no problem with that.
How much do we have in the fund?
We haven't spent anything out of that fund.
Okay.
I've got a feeling we may have to pay for an ad.
I'm fine with that, think it needs.
But I would like to go ahead and, with the permission of the board, if we okay this, that I sign the claim voucher to get them paid.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay. The other thing I'd like to do is set aside that in our budget, a line item of probably $2,000 out of that $5,000 for these situations
To hold back,
to hold back,
because
because I don't feel like it's.
Even if you don't come up with the X amount of money for holding them, and I would like to see somebody do something, to reimburse us for euthanasia and cremation.
Right.
For
And
sure.
I think that 207 was a cremation also, wasn't it?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
That
I mean,
was
what
it.
are we gonna do with that?
Right,
So we lose that money if we don't use it, right?
exactly.
So can you make it where we can roll it over or whatever if, for that kind of thing?
You can't do that.
so you gotta cut the check.
Okay,
What we could do is if you could send me a bill on the other one,
yeah,
because I'm assuming it's probably the same
I'll get that
amount.
tomorrow.
It was more?
yeah.
No, it was probably about the same weight.
Okay. Then
Yes,
would somebody make a motion that we have a line item of $2,000 to reimburse on the
I'll make a
cremation?
motion for that.
Tanya makes a motion, welcome Charlie, to keep a separate amount of $2,000 out of the funds that we had received from the county to help.
Yeah.
The burden of the euthanasia and the cremation.
I don't have any kind of voting power. obviously. But what the problem that I'm not even saying that this is the problem. This is great. I love that you guys voted for that. But we're taking all the responsibility now off of the owners.
Right, I agree with that too.
And I would almost rather see you guys it's your ordinance is already written, but like if a dog bites somebody and that leads to the dog being put down for whatever reason, because this one has happened for you, I'll put it in the hospital. What kind of fines are you paying to the county?
Yeah, but we brought that up.
Now the county is paying us, so I feel like we're passing the buck again.
Well,
I love it, we need to help.
It's in the ordinance about responsibility of the owner if the animal has to be
There
put
is.
down. Yes,
I love that.
it just
They
has
have
to
to
be
start getting it
enforced.
up,
We're
yeah,
gonna
enforced.
have to start asking it may be something where we, as a board, has to file a small claim
Yeah.
against the owner.
Exactly.
No, I mean,
You gotta
I mean-
what the-
That would be awesome.
when we're taking in people's pockets,
And,
Yeah.
and you know, there are lots of situations where like it never gets reported. If this was a child, then obviously I had to go to the hospital. But like, the neighbors are calling us, and the owners are done with the dog. The neighbors like they attacked me. This literally happened not that long ago. Some people, the sheriff, not the sheriff, the Cannleton Police Department brought a dog down. He was like, "Can we put a dog in one of these kennels?" I was like, "Hold on, what's the story?" Well, we got a call about this dog 3 days in a row, and he's out and he's attacking the neighbors' dogs. And then the neighbors came down and they were like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna shoot the dog if you guys don't do something about it." I said, "Well, if he's aggressive, he's not gonna be able to hang out
adopted.
here.
Yeah,
We
right.
can't adopt him out either. We might have to euthanize him." And he was like, "Well, I'm okay with that." And then once again, the owner was never responsible for anything. We still have a dog. He's a sweet boy. Just because they don't like other dogs, we won't hold that against them. But just like so, the police took it off the property. Having complaints that it was aggressive, drove it straight to us, dropped it off. Never once followed up really with the owner about paying a surrender fee, let alone paying for it if it needed to be euthanized. It did not. His name is Jax. He's awesome. So the owner's like, "Oh, got rid of the dog. I'm not worried about that anymore." And I'm afraid
Well,
that's
Do they realize the goal of the shelter is to take in animals that you can adopt out?
No, that's
no,
just,
These vicious animals,
that's right.
no.
are gonna end up being put down.
Well,
But I mean,
and that's what's been happening here.
I know, that's the whole thing. And somebody said, we need to make them be more responsible. And I said, if I knew how to make people more responsible, I'd be a multi-millionaire.
But it's, the officers, they don't even, half the time, they don't even write them a summons or a ticket when they can.
They should, yeah, they should at least write
And
it.
Yeah, at least
that's
write
what we need to communicate with the department.
Like every single time.
Troy's gonna have a new situation, Jim, because they have no law enforcement officers. So the county's gonna be handling Troy. But if you go back and look at reports, we really don't get very many reports of dog bites or anything from Cannleton. Molly, do you guys get a lot of calls from Troy? Do you?
Right, that's where we just lately, honestly. It seems like Troy was almost non-existent for a while.
Shortridge Road is awful.
Okay, well, I'm talking about the entity Troy, inside the town limits.
Yeah, Troy Ridge.
Troy Ridge County.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's where the puppy came from, was Troy.
Okay.
Uh,
And see, that was one thing, they have no law enforcement officers, so the county,
I thought
But-
they had a marshal.
no, he's no longer there.
Anymore.
They have no one, so the county basically is going to oversee it. But with Troy being in the county, they can enforce the county ordinance there.
They should.
So I think one of the things we need to do is, as soon as everybody gets on board with this, talk to
Yeah.
the heads of the departments again. And like I tried to tell them one other time, if they enforce this and write the tickets and the money from the tickets go in for an animal control officer, we're getting closer to getting one.
Yeah. And I think, I would like to maybe talk to the prosecutor about him, if they do write something, press it.
That's the problem.
And again, that's her
That's
judgment,
the problem.
and you can't,
I mean, I would love to see our town be one of these places where people but we don't have an animal issue. You know what I mean? And
He's the only one in
because,
the country, I'm afraid.
but you know what? It could be done.
Well,
If people would take some initiative.
So that, really, that's all I have on the ordinance.
Is this the exact ordinance that's,
Yes,
okay.
Okay, I might have missed something,
Uh,
but what was the shelter? Wasn't we talking about the fence? It's
No.
worse?
the, isn't,
But, I mean,
I mean, they can't use it to let the animals out to,
not
Well, there's some things that are
unsupervised,
just incorrect.
not
well, that was the whole
unsupervised.
point of the
No, I
fence.
know, but here's the thing is I don't know unless we had like a stone or privacy fence that was 8 feet in the air. He needs to lower the gate. Okay, well, I'm,
I'd reach out to him again and,
With the ordinance, are we just trying to get it passed right now and then make revisions? Because there's some things that are incorrect on here, like it says order carnivore. That doesn't exist. It's order carnivora. It's not spelled like carnivore.
we
Is there some other
we
things
will be
too?
able to make the whole idea was to get this passed and then make amendments.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Gotcha.
And, you know, one of the biggest arguments I had that, is, you know, Becky Thorne's a commissioner and she was on this board.
Mhm.
And I tried to explain to her that Troy, Tell City, and Campbellton's not adopting a 24-page ordinance.
Yeah.
Theirs is gonna be more streamlined, but we're more, the enforcement part is what we want to mirror one,
Yeah.
that everything's done the same way.
That's important for the prosecutors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's extremely important. That's one of the problems the prosecutors got. Who made the claim and all at once they back out? Oh, I didn't.
Oh, one other thing, once this, speaking to the other entities, and this will be something that we probably do an amendment to ours, is Tell City has a subsection in their ordinance, 93, that says, if you feed an animal, you become responsible for it.
Mhm.
Okay, I asked Troy and Cannleton and the county all to put that in. I had heard that for years, never seen it, you know, Kim thought it was in health department, but she never could find it. But Tell City had it in their ordinance, and I'm asking the other entities to do that, because that way, when it comes to the point where we go and we get a complaint on a cat, is this your cat? No. Well, then we'll take it. Well, I'm feeding it, well, then it's your cat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
what, we have people come in or call every single day that say, oh, I had this dump off. I go a little bit crazy when I hear that, but, you know, this stray showed up and I've been feeding it for a couple of months, now it's pregnant.
Yeah.
And I'm, you know, I'm sick, I'm elderly, I'm having money issues and I can't take care of kids. Well, the only reason why it's there is because it has a continuous food source.
Right. Now
I-
kittens are gonna be having kittens.
Right, exactly. So you're giving it a home, even though you think you're just giving it food.
right,
You're giving it a home. If it's gonna stay where the food is. That's just I felt like it was common sense because it's not. So part of hearing that would be great if, you know,
You know,
yeah, if it within the ordinance that it is yours, and that would kind of, and people get themselves in trouble because they start feeding and then more show up and then,
they
oh, now
can't.
they have to buy more and more food and
now
now.
they got a colony.
And that gets to be their financial problem.
Yeah, and then they come
it
here,
gets that
we can't
line,
afford to feed them.
right,
Well. So,
So-
yes, I think that having that in the ordinance would probably be one more important piece of the ordinance.
I'm done.
All right, well, after going over the animal county ordinances, we'll go ahead and jump to the animal CADs.
And Tanya sent those out,
Yep.
and then I sent the bike reports. Bike reports were down
Mhm.
for the past 30 days. Either they're not going to the doctor or they're not reporting.
Or people ain't going out because it's hot.
That's one of the things, but, you know, what we've seen over, you know, the last few months, it's usually a pet that bites the owner when they're trying to break up a fight.
It's usually 80%, or probably 90% of the time.
That's the report you
Right,
get.
and I'm on the side, that stuff happens, like.
Yeah,
Or like what happened with the most recent dog that we put down is that they were fully aware that the dog was not kid friendly and did not put it away, allowed their friend in the house with a 3-year-old child,
mhm.
and the 3-year-old child was being a 3-year-old child, and the dog attacked Snacks. Had Snacks, and the dog attacked him or her, and it hurt them pretty badly in the hospital. So once again, something that could have been
Avoided, yeah.
completely avoided. The dog was a good dog. I mean, to an adult, like I said, he knew tricks. He would.
But he died because his owner's
They
negligence.
didn't put him up when they knew there was a chance that he was gonna.
And I'm not defending, the animal, but it's learned behavior. Had a child in the past done something to it and it reacted.
You know, I'm not on that side of the fence. I'm on the side of the fence that some dogs just innately it's fear aggression, and they're just scared of things that they are not around a lot. And I don't think that this dog had been around a lot of children in its life. It was something different. The child was moving quickly, was making different noises than an adult would make. It smells different, all of those things. Eye level. Eye level is
Yeah.
bad, yeah.
Right,
So making direct eye contact with this dog, staring it in the eyes, dog took that threat, it wasn't a bad dog. It did not deserve that.
It's a bad situation.
And those same people that did not take the safety measures to make sure that the dog was put up so that it didn't harm the child, dumped the dog inside of our fence at 9 p.m. that night, went out and got another dog not even 48 hours later.
Perfect situation
See
of a
what I
bad
mean?
owner, not a bad dog.
Explain that.
Ignorance.
Well,
Idiots.
that's it, yeah. I mean,
but you have so many people out there trying to get rid of the animals.
Yeah,
Anybody that says, "I'll take it,"
yeah,
take it. No.
yeah, they don't even care if it's a good dog.
yeah, I mean, we're not gonna be able to, we're not gonna fix,
Stupid.
No,
we're not gonna fix stupid, but we need to be better about holding people accountable.
I agree.
right. And hopefully this is a start.
God, I hope. What, that was Thursday's paper?
But was it? Yeah, it was last Thursday, right, Jim?
Yes.
So they have to advertise it again, and I'm not sure if they're gonna do it in the paper or on the county website. The technicalities of, how they advertise. That's
Well,
up to the
it'll
county.
be, if once it's accepted, it'll be then posted on there.
Yes, they'll be posted on the
Perfect.
website, yes.
I've been through
Yeah, I could print it off of that.
Well, I'll send all of you the updated copy
Yeah,
as soon as I
that'd be
get that. When I send it out to the other entities, I'll make sure the board gets
So
a
then-
new copy.
This is adopted by the county now?
No, not until they vote on it on August 4th.
And then once that's done, then the other entities,
They will start working on theirs. They're already aware of it. The attorneys are aware of it. They're looking into it right now.
And Tanya, as soon as they sign on, like I said, sign on, then we get with the county council to try to get that 7th member to make it a.
Yeah.
Right,
And
because
Mr.
6
Hoffman
members will
said-
cause.
Yeah.
He's,
You need 7.
he's very much interested, and I thought he was gonna give up on us, because it's been, 9 months? since-
No. He took a new job too, and we've spoken several times over the last couple of weeks, so, he told me about him.
wait, there's 5 of us now, so we got, who are we missing?
Adam,
Okay,
but right now, we're under the old ordinance. 5
okay,
members.
okay, so we're full right now, good, okay.
The new ordinance, we had 2.
But that's the reason why Robert's on, because he can been appointed, he was appointed
Yeah,
under the old ordinance, because we have a vacancy.
good.
And that's why he's on.
Well, I think you'll be valuable to us, Robert.
Well, other than that,
Good.
go to the order, and I guess the next thing is be meeting adjournment.
Do you want to address the change in next month's meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
before we adjourn, by the way, the next month's meeting will be a day later. Instead of being on August the 26th, the fourth Tuesday will be on August the 27th. And the same thing will follow for September. Instead of being on the fourth Tuesday, we'll be on the fourth Wednesday, which will be September 24th. Both meetings will be at 6 o'clock and here at the same location at the courthouse.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second it, meeting adjourned. End of live stream in 3, 2, 1.